You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kirsten.
Oh, hello there. Truth
The big show.
It's the big show, people. Every show's a big show.
Some say that karma is a bitch.
Some say that.
Some say that karma is a bitch.
Some don't.
The big show.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, but karma don't.
Okay, so last week I had to travel.
This is my friend who stayed in the haunted hotel. Good for her, good for her. Got the t-shirt, probably got a keychain. We don't need a haunted hotel. We go to haunted woods. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, wonder if Don Imus would be able to stay on a haunted ranch. You know, the ranch itself were haunted. And go out in the barn and see a scarecrow hung from goddamn ceiling. I'd call 911, I think. What would you call 911 there? There's some nappy-headed holes there, that's for sure. Alright, Don Imus telling you his ghost story. And, you know, sometimes I'm at a loss. Sometimes I'm at a loss when I see something paranormal. Have you noticed that there are certain types of people that will see something paranormal or something potentially paranormal, and they tend to go one of two ways? They either go to denial or they go straight to ascribing exactly what it is. When the reasonable exclamation would be, I know what I saw, know what I heard, know what I felt, but I don't know what it was. That would be the reasonable one. And usually it's, I didn't see that, or not only did I see it, but I know exactly what it was. It's funny how we do that, isn't it? Funny how we do that. I'm looking through sound effects here, waiting for Miss Michaela to come on. She's going to tell us some more scary stories, one presumes. What else is scary? What's really scary? I'll tell you a little bit now. Okay, she's back in the chat room. I'm gonna just take you on a little journey here and tell you about a lady called the Chain Lady. Now, this lady in my imagination was the most terrifying ghost of all time, and of course I never saw her. Up in a place called Winchester, Virginia, where my stepdad was from, there was some lady they called the Chain Lady. I don't know if they knew how she died. She was very well known up there. But she would show up at night. She had chains all over her. She was in a white gown. And I believe she was usually bleeding. And she had like red hair and red eyes and was just totally evil looking. And she would float over the hillside. So we'd go out there sometimes when we were going to visit family up there, his side of the family. And we'd go sit in the truck or whatever outside, you know, and we're talking places that are 5-6 square miles of property. So there's nobody around. And we'd see something up on the hill, and it could have been a clothesline post or anything, and we'd scare ourselves. And I'll tell you another story about Winchester, too. Two more stories, actually. But that Chain Lady, the reports of her, oh my God, the way they told those stories were scary. You know, and I'm just wondering, who the hell would invent something like that? Let's see, I'm going to invent a ghost. It's a lady. What's she got? She's got chains. Yeah, chains all over. And it didn't make sense, so it almost, I don't know, it sounds legitimate. Michaela in the chat room. Oh, okay. Well, Michaela, I think you should go out. Just go out and stand just outside the door and do what you got to do, and then come back in. Nothing going to get you. Has anything gotten you yet? No. Nothing going to get you. Come on, I've been to Old House Woods alone, so you can go out on your front porch. Let's see here. Okay, let me tell you a couple other stories about Winchester, Virginia real quick. And these are stories directly from my stepfather's family up there. First one. They used to drink a lot, true. They used to drink a lot of beer or partying one night. And it was toward the fall, probably about this time, about this season. And there was a old house. My grandma, rest her soul, my stepdad's mother, lived there, paid $25 a month rent. Okay, the house was falling apart. There was no indoor plumbing. There was an outhouse. There was a well to get water from. She used wood stove only. I mean, they did have electricity, but she used wood stove for cooking and wood stove for heating. And it was starting to get cool. So it was time to go to bed. They had done their partying, all the adults, and the kids were already in bed. So it was probably midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock. And my mom and stepdad are out laying on the couch. And the way they kept the front door closed because the handle was broken was they had a knife. There was a knife that just went through the door and into the jamb there. And never had a problem with it. It was always like that. Well, they get cold in the middle of the night and they get up and realize it's open. And I guess my stepdad was thinking, well, somebody must have went out there and to pee or something or to get sick or something. So he looks and there's nobody out there. And he figures they just came back in and forgot it. Well, he puts the knife back through the hole into the door and checks it, makes sure it's snug, goes back to bed. This happens 2 more times. And they never hear the knife fall. So it's like it's placed on the ground. And he can't figure out how this happened, and she can't either. So that was kind of weird because he knows what he did. He was sober enough to know, I closed the damn door. We were cold. Your mom was making me close the door. So that was that. But I'll tell you what, in that same house, this did not happen to me even though I was right there. Sleeping in the same bed with my sister. We were very young, so that was okay. She is on the outside of the bed. I'm on the wall side. All I know is I get picked up by her, pushed over her, and put toward the outside in the middle of the night, like 2 in the morning. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Well, she had the feeling, and she was absolutely positive that something was staring at her in the middle of the night like that. We hadn't been telling ghost stories. We hadn't been spooking each other. We were just sleeping. And she had such a strong feeling that something was right there staring at the side of her face that she had the adrenaline to lift me up and throw me over her to get me to the outside of the bed. Eat Kevin, don't eat me. Yeah, I was the baby of the family with 4 older sisters. I was often used as bait. Yeah, that's the way it goes, I don't blame them. I would have used me as bait too. Other scary stuff, I think when it comes to scary stuff regarding the paranormal, isn't that really at the core of what fear is? Misunderstanding, failure to understand. When you don't understand something, you have a natural fear of it. And in humanity's traditions, we tend to murder things that we don't understand, don't we? Go to a new civilization, see a bunch of people with feathers on their head, we're going to kill them. And that mentality sticks even in a more civilized world. So when you look at something in the paranormal field and you don't understand it, it's scary right then. And it's just the level of fear, which tends to match the level of failure to understand, in my view. Let's see here. Listen to this. Now, listen to this sound effect. I just want to hear your thoughts on it. Does that sound scary to you? That is a barn door open. That's what they say. They've got one in here called a brontosaurus whale. I'm going to play that for you, okay? Now get ready. Here it comes. Well, how about that? Sounded like bad gas to me. I don't know if you can hear that when I just play them. I think I've got to throw them over into the window. I'll ask Michaela when she comes back in. But there is a scary one. It's a squeaky door kind of a deal. When you hear, and there's one called Mystery. This will get you going. This will get your heart rate up a little bit if you're already in a scared kind of mood. What's the craziest ghost story you have? I'd love to hear it. If you can't get into the show or you're listening to this as a podcast later and you're not listening live right now, why don't you go to the Facebook page and tell us your story? Because I think people would want to compare. And it's fun. It's something fun to do. You know, you get around a campfire. What are you going to do? You're going to compare ghost stories. It's almost guaranteed. Go to the Facebook page. It is facebook.com/Truth on Tap Show. Truth on Tap Show. That's the Facebook page. You can share your scary incident. Can I? I can't tell you if people are viewing your chat right now, Michaela, if that's what you're talking about, but I can tell apparently how many people are in the chat room, and there's only you right now in the chat room with me. So now, as far as people listening to this, I can't tell how many people are listening right now. I can look at statistics later that show how many listens there have been, but I don't know how many people tuned in late, and we're getting I don't know, you know. So we can check that out later, though. This is a door vault closing. Michaela, tell me if you hear something right now. 1, 2. I hope that didn't scare you. It was rather loud. Yeah, it's just you in the chat room right now. I'm pretty sure. It's not like a community chat room, if that's what you mean. Okay, you did hear that. Okay. Oh, that's good. That means I don't have to drag them over there. I like that. You know, some of these. Here's the one. Now this one's kind of scary to me. And then I'm going to play you the mystery one. Listen to this. Now, if you're laying in a bed and you hear that, and you know you're the only one in the house, it's action time. Adrenaline starts getting released then, doesn't it? I want you to listen to this music, though. This is the music that leads up to action in a horror movie. Should be right here. Let me try this one. Here it goes. That's not it. Let's try this one. Yeah, I don't like that one. That one gives me the heebie-jeebie willy skillies. All kinds of crawliness happening on the skin. All right, Michaela, tell us something scary here. Tell us, let's see, we've talked about scary movies and scary incidents. Tell us what your worst fear would be in the area of paranormal. What would your worst fear be of something happening to you in Old House Woods, or when you're alone in your shower, or when you're, I don't know, walking down a dark alley? Don't know why you'd be doing that, but you never know. I don't think about fears. You know, it's weird because when you get older and you start thinking about kids, well, for one thing, when you get older, you realize you're getting closer to death. So I think that has something to do with it. It's just like, I'm going there anyway. So that helps. I like that part of courage. But you start thinking about other people too much, and you kind of forget about yourself until something's right in your face, and then you're like, oh hell, I guess I need to preserve myself too. I don't know. A knife getting thrown at you, that's your worst fear. That is scary. I mean, it is scary. It could happen too. Poltergeist activity. I don't know. I think here's what I used to imagine in my head that would be my worst, very worst horror moment. That would be to be in a house doing dishes or something, whatever, just cool, you know, at night, and look over and in a window see a face that was not only evil and menacing, but was enraged, staring at me, eyes locked. That's what I used to imagine, and the face I would imagine would have to be a really white, almost bloodless face with reddish eyes and just pure evil intent. And yeah, that would do it for me. Yeah, this brother would be, you'd have to resuscitate a brother right then. That's not going to work. What'd she say? You have a scar on your leg from it? Wait a minute. You're going to have to tell me a little bit about this, sister, because I don't remember this story. I know it wasn't no Casper the Friendly Ghost throwing a knife at you. What happened there? I'll let Miss Michaela type this out here and see what she says. I've never had a knife thrown at me, been shot at. Been shot at with a BB gun and hit. Been shot at with a 22 and thank God they missed. We were out smashing pumpkins one Halloween night, and one older gentleman took exception to that. Pop, pop, pop. Yeah, that's one way to beat fears, man. I'll tell you, I jumped out of a plane a couple times, 12,500 feet up in the air. Go back in the woods alone, in the most haunted woods in America. Chill. I was actually sitting back there one night, and this is on YouTube. This is a YouTube video, and I've got two phones that are identical. They're both Samsung Fascinates by Verizon. Okay, they have different model numbers, but I'm not telling. They're identical phones, but they have different model numbers as far as not being called Fascinate. They're like i500 or something, whatever. So I've got my girlfriend's in which I'm filming everything with, and I've got mine on which I'm using ghost apps. You know, checking out Ghost Radar, seeing how if there's anything to them. And I'd never used half of them before, so I was just giving them a try. Well, my phone goes effing berserk. It's flipping between Facebook and the home screen and the internet and the app, and it's flying through these menus like this, and it's never done that. Worst thing my phone's ever done, even since then, is lock up or reboot on occasion. This thing's going through back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I actually thought a button was stuck. So you hear me, I'm like, okay, let me check all the buttons. I'm actually pushing all the buttons in different directions to make sure it's unstuck, and then it stops. So I'm like, okay, it was a button. Well, it starts again. And that's all on video, man. You can see it. I never seen anything like that. I mean, and then one time I was walking back there, and it felt like somebody lifted my phone. It was in the same spot, too, right at the intersection there. It felt like somebody lifted my phone out of my hand. Like they were going to, I don't know, I got this sense they were going to hit me with it instead of just take it from me. But it sat right back down. And I don't know if for some reason I was just feeling the weight of it less during that one step I took, or if something really tried to lift it out of my hand. So that was very strange. Michaela, let's see. Okay. She says, I used to live in a house across from Farm Fresh in Gloucester, Virginia, of course, and that house was possessed. I would take pictures up against my wall, and I remember this one now, and my mom was showing up in the wall. It looked just like her, but she was alive and good. 2 months later, she is in a coma, and then gets really sick, and is still really sick. I was in the living room and taking a selfie. There was something yelling at me. And also, and she's still typing, this is where we may be getting into some kind of time wrinkle here, or space wrinkle. I think if you see something, the Indians called it visions, you know, you're getting a peek into the future, but it's accidental. I think that's possible. She says, a lot of horrible stuff happened there to me and my sister and mom. When we moved out, the next people that lived there asked them if it was haunted. So they must have been having some experiences too. But I'm curious, what was yelling at you? Like, was something inside the house? Are you sure it was like very close to you yelling at you? And what was it yelling? Turns out a boyfriend killed his girlfriend in that house. Oh, okay. So you got a little history there. One of the things we talk about a lot back in Old House Woods, and whenever we're ghost hunting, and I got to tell you a little story here in a minute about the Demon House in Gloucester, Virginia. We tend to ponder the idea that, well, there's a couple of things we've been reaching generalizations on, I guess. We tend to think that most of what we see back in Old House Woods is residual, maybe not so much interactive, kind of a repeat, memories caught in the environment somehow. Or there's that, you know, space or time thing getting wrinkled and you're seeing actually past or future events. That's possible. Over at the Demon House in Gloucester, we go in there one night. We didn't go in. I went in there alone. The two guys I was with did not want to go in. They felt such an oppressive feeling just driving up to the house that one of them was pulling out holy water. Yeah, it was that kind of night. I said, well, I didn't ride all the way down here not to go in, so I got to go in. So I'm walking up to this house, and my God, it was like a polar magnetism pushing me away almost. Not a physical force, but it just felt like every part of my you know how I felt? The first time I jumped out of a plane and I got up next to the door and looked out at 12,500 feet and saw those little teeny square dots that were cornfields, my brain felt the same then as it did when I walked up to this house, which was, don't do this. This is a bad idea for your health. And I walked up there anyway and walked inside. And I got my recorder going, my auto recorder, started snapping pictures. When I first walked in, I heard somebody clear their throat. Now, nobody's in this house. It sounded to me like I thought maybe a homeless person had got in and was sleeping there. And for all I know, there was, because I didn't walk all over the house. Cleared their throat. Right after that, it sounded like 1,000 people whispering to me at once. Yet I couldn't make out any of the words, not even one. It was just, if you can imagine 1,000 people whispering at once, that's what it sounded like. And I lasted about a minute, and I was done with that house. Yeah, I was on my way out. Snapped a few pictures, didn't get anything. Had the audio going, but didn't record what I heard with my own ears. Didn't get the clearing of the throat or the whispers. So, it just makes you wonder. Let's see what Michaela's saying here. Oh, then a knife flew up and swung at me and got my thigh. How the heck did that happen? Blood was everywhere, and my mom swore it was my sister who did it, but she wasn't home. Wow. That's messed up when you're getting physically attacked by some entities, man. You don't need Ghostbusters then. You need ghosts beat somebody's ass up then. That's what you need. Because that's messed up right there. Alright, here's a good sound for you. Listen to this one. Does this get you in the mood? Let's see how this one does. It was a dark and scary night. There, behind the trees. What is that? It's a giant marshmallow. Coming to exact revenge for what you did to the rest of his family. Oh well, that was fun while it lasted. Maybe I should start telling scary stories here. I've got a few novels out. I could tell a scary story. They're not really scary, but I could do a scary story. I don't write horror novels because I would never sleep. At least now I sleep like 1 or 2 hours a night. But I actually have enough faith in my imagination to know that I could get so scary that I wouldn't be able to sleep. So that's really, and I actually have pondered it a couple times, started writing them and just said, no, that's not going to work for me. I'm not going to be able to do horror. Let's see what else she said. It was, it almost trick-or-treat time again. You know what that means. Old House Woods 1-year reunion. Yes. Well, we started hunting back there regularly last summer, but we might as well go out there on All Hallows Eve and see if we can get some goblins to pop up. I'm wondering if it's seasonal back there. I'm wondering if it's based on the lunar cycle, as one of our other friends suggested, spiritual activity. The storm lady, when she showed up, just as people said, the only time I ever saw her, there was lightning and there was a storm coming in. It wasn't a huge storm, and the lightning was only in 3 different areas of the sky. It wasn't even coming down to the ground, or lightning tends to go up from the ground, but this was up in the clouds, and these clouds weren't very big, so there were like 3 isolated pockets, and then there was some rain that came in after that. And that's when we saw the storm lady. She showed up, stood there for 15 minutes. I said, Kim, I'm looking at something over here, and I'm wondering if you can tell me what it is. And she looks past me and goes, oh, that's the storm lady. Just like she was a neighbor. And she actually stood there so long that we forgot about her. We were talking about time travel and interdimensional activity, and I said, Kim, she's kind of creeping me out because she's just staring at us. But you couldn't see her staring at us, but you could see the outline, and the outline would fit a woman aimed at us. So yeah, it was kind of creepy. She was about, 30, 40 yards away. And I just got this impression like she was a painting more than anything. Like it wasn't even interactive. She was just there. But it did fit the legend of she will come and warn you when there's a storm. She used to. The legend says she'll go to the treetops and howl to warn you of a gale, an incoming gale, and that maybe she lost a husband or a brother or father or son to out on the water in the Chesapeake Bay there at the edge of Old House Woods because of a storm. And all that would kind of make sense, but I don't know how much of it's legit. Michaela says, yes, we should do a reunion. I think it has something to do with the time frames and weather. I think it's better during the cold. Heat expands and cold would make the energy better, orbs show better. I've heard different theories on that. Like most of what I've heard is that the spiritual activity picks up in the warmer months. And there's part of me that can't help but say, are we sure? Because creature activity picks up in the warmer months. So everything you're hearing and seeing, if 30% of it's bugs and creatures, that would kind of fit in. But they do say that atoms slow down when it gets colder, so maybe it's, when it gets cold on batteries, the batteries don't perform as well, so maybe heat is more conducive to spiritual activity. I don't know. We've been back there, and heat expands cold. I think I got more activity when it's colder. You always get activity. It's a funny thing. Certain people back there, now Michaela's only, I think she's 21? You'll have to tell me what your age is. 21 or 22 maybe? She makes things happen back there just by being there. Whereas when I'm back there at 41 years old or somebody else around my age, we'll be getting nothing. And she'll show up and she'll start snapping pictures. She'll be getting orbs in her pictures. We'll have readings. We'll start hearing EVPs. And I don't know if it has something to do with just being younger. So she's 20. And if it is her being younger, what is it? Is it let's just assume that there's a good spirit coming out to protect her as a youngin'. Well, why would it need to do that? That would mean there's a bad spirit necessarily out there that threatens her. If it's not a good spirit coming out protecting her, then it is a bad spirit. Either that or it wants her energy. Maybe they're energy vampires and the younger people have more energy, so they're coming to suck that up. I don't know. Michaela, we've only got 2 minutes left on this episode. And I'm actually getting hoarse, so I think I'm done broadcasting for the night. But we can do some more tomorrow. I want to look up some stuff, give people something they haven't seen before. This has just been kind of a fun night, not really like groundbreaking paranormal stuff. So I hope people don't judge us too harshly on this one, because this stuff gets uploaded to YouTube automatically, and those people are harsh on YouTube, man. Oh, they are vicious. They hate everything you do. Doesn't matter what you do, they hate it. Michaela says, yes, I'm addicted. Well, wait till you can get on and be an actual audio co-host. That's fun. I mean, I've always wanted a radio show, and now with the internet, it may take a while to build a following, but you can have your damn radio show. I love it. Just love it. But it's time to sign out here, my fine and feathered friends. So we are going to do just that. Michaela, spell out to me in how to pronounce your last name. Like, use phonics for me here. Yes, it was good talking to you too. I can't wait till you're on to do the audio thing. I'll work on it. I've been working on it for 48 hours, and my brain's baked on it right now. I don't know if she's going to tell me. But I thought you said the J was silent. J is silent. Okay, so it's Wotak. Okay, so this has been Kevin Kierstead with Truth on Tap, and this tonight was your chat co-host, Miss Michaela Wotak. And if you'll come in on our future shows when she's in here, then you can chat with her, whether it's just through text or when we get voice up, you can do that as well. I will routinely have co-hosts on, and hopefully she'll be one of them. So I'm just going to give everybody here a little station ID thing, because that's just kind of fun. It sounds formal. So here we
You're
go with that.
listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kirsten.
And on that note, Michaela and I are up out of here.